All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you, right there, and just like me. And hey, we got a co-pointer out there today, and now you can't even see him. I can do the same thing, just block the lens. You'll have to look at me all day. Two guys dishing, right? It's like the slightly younger version of grumpy old men, right? It's gonna be
Absolutely.
I'll be Walter Matthau and you be was it Jack
Jack
Lemmon?
Lemmon.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff Scott Soto is back with us. Jeff, former vocalist for a band that I went to see last night. They did a good job, but Jeff also did a good job when he was in the band too. So there's something in
Thank you,
common.
David.
Jeff, how are you today, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. I got a bit of a head cold or some kind of cold. It's not the thing. It's funny. It's funny how for the past 2 years, every time you get sick or feel sick, you equate it to the thing.
Yeah, I
Uh-oh,
like how
are
you
frozen?
again. I appreciate that you picked up the lingo of the channel. That means a lot to me.
Well,
And
I understand on your side, you obviously, if you say particular words, then obviously you get that silly little message that pops up automatically.
right,
That they have. If you're talking about this, we got to make sure you have that information center. But yeah,
that's correct.
bottom line is I have my own thoughts. I have my own realizations about the thing and
Yeah,
about the thing you take for the thing. But for the most part, I'm just happy that the world is kind of reopened slowly and we're back to where we were in most cases.
yeah,
We pulled off the Trans-Siberian Orchestra tour last year. It was challenging,
yeah.
but we got through it, and looks like everyone else is getting through it, and that's the thing. We got to get through it, and we got to get back to life. That's the bottom line.
Amen to that, brother. That's all I can say. So TSO, you touched on that. Let's refresh the audience. You've been with TSO for how long?
15 years, my friends. 15 years
Wow.
this year.
Wow. And
Yeah,
who?
they literally called me the week, not, I think even days after the news broke that Journey let me go, and it was a godsend because
Yeah,
I've known Al Petrelli, the musical director, for so many years. And we're going on close to 40 years soon. How long we've known each other? It's
wow.
just over 30. I forget.
Okay.
I'm trying not to date or age myself
Too
too
late.
badly,
Too late.
but in knowing Al, exactly, knowing Al, he basically called me. He said, "Hey, my boss Paul O'Neill is interested to hear you on some songs." We basically tried everybody that we can think of, everybody in the Rolodex. That's how dated we are, the old Rolodex. And I remember Paul O'Neill's initial reaction was, "But Jeff is a tenor. If he sung for Journey, he's a tenor. I need a baritone." And he said, "No, no, no, no. Jeff is a baritone. Listen to my voice. I'm a
Yeah,
baritone."
yeah,
He goes, he's a baritone with tenor tendencies. And
yeah,
so from that, Paul O'Neill, he flew me out, and God bless his soul. I miss him so much. We
yeah.
just we just it's literally 5 years since we lost him, and it's
Wow.
crazy to think that so much time has passed. But
Yeah,
God bless him for hearing and seeing in me something that he knew I could help continue to push TSL forward. And it gave me a whole nother enlightenment of singing and the challenging side of musical theater that I've never had any interest in.
yeah,
It showed me that I actually am good at that. And it's amazing what he brought out in me. And some of the stuff I got from Paul O'Neill, I actually bring out in bands like Sons of Apollo, even my own stuff,
yeah.
things I never initiated before. I didn't know it was in me. So it's a blessing in disguise. And I'm just so blessed even that they still want old ass me after 15 years to be representing them. So I hold that gig with absolute pride.
Yeah. So I assume that we're going to get another round of TSO sometime in the late fall as usual, and you'll be out there. How many dates do you guys typically do?
It's just under 60 within the course of 2 months. By the
Wow.
time we get into in December, we're doing 2 shows a day, and that show is not short. But the design of TSO, we have 10 singers, and the reason we have 10 singers because it's to protect everyone.
Yeah.
I don't get any more than 2 or 3 songs per show. So in the course of a day, I'm only singing like 4 songs. You think about compared to like what Arnell did last night, what any other
Yeah.
singer's doing in the course of an hour and a half show,
Yeah.
they're singing so much more. So this is how it protects the singers. This is how it makes sure that the show is exactly the same every night. Every performance is as strong as it was the night before. for the entire tour. But yeah, it's 2 months and just about 58 to 60 shows. It can get grueling in terms of sleep and travel.
Yeah. Sleep and travel. Yeah. Two things that I haven't, well, I had a lot of travel, but not much sleep in the last 24 hours. And I
Boy,
can't,
are we old, huh?
and I was thinking about that, dude. I was thinking about how these, and like Dean, you know, in hotel rooms, and they all, and you were talking a little bit about the thing and stuff, and they have a special protocol. A lot of people don't know. They all have to isolate, right? So they don't get in any trouble, because if one guy gets it, the whole thing goes down. And you don't want to be the one guy who ruins everything. So they're all kind of walking on edges.
The TSO bubble, I think, was more airtight than the NBA or some of the other sports, the big sports arena type of thing bubbles.
Yeah.
We were hardcore, but it was exactly that. We knew especially if the band or singers got it, it's going to compromise the actual tour. There were a crew people that got it, and we were, for the first time ever, we were completely removed from them. We couldn't eat in the same catering with them. You know, there were certain rules and things that were made to protect us, but it was mainly to protect the tour, and we pulled it off. And you know, God bless TSO for saying we're not going to go dark. We're going to find a way to get around this, and we did. Well,
and the other aspect to this is, you know, you have to earn a living, right? You got to go out there and earn money for your family. This isn't just like, hey, I'm Jeff Scott Soto. I've got so many royalties, so much publishing, so much stuff coming in out there, because I recorded, you know, all these albums. You know, these classic rock bands, you know, can kind of live off of their, well, not as much as they used to, but the the point being is that, you know, I know you're a hardworking guy, which leads me into the fact that you've got yet another record coming out. I believe the record comes out on May the 6th. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, yeah. All right. So it's one day after Cinco de Mayo. That's all you got to remember. You know, it's
the sobering. It's the music will sober you up when you wake up with that tequila hangover.
Ooh, yeah. And it's the name of the album.
Those days, David.
What's that?
Remember those days, David?
Oh, hey,
or you've forgotten them.
Last night I had two $13.75 beers, my friend.
Yes.
And because, you know, I usually go on, my wife, hysterical. I said to her, I said, you know what? I was off by 25 cents. I typically say to people in the videos, you can go out and enjoy a $14 beer. And we walked around for a while because we got inside the Emily Arena a little bit early, and we're walking around. And by the way, my brain isn't working, but there was a celebrity in the house that I missed last night. The great Johnny Gioeli was in the audience, and he was taking pictures and posting, and I must have been like 100 feet away from the guy. Anyway,
right.
Long story short, or short story making long. So we got the beers, and I celebrated. I'm like, honey, that's it for tonight, because this is supposed to be, you know, $30 to park, and that was cheap. And then the beer, and then look, still go to the show. You know, I don't want to make this about the Journey show, but go to the show. Jeff is not singing for Journey, unfortunately, but go to the show. So you've got this new album out. It's called Complicated, which is a great title for anything these days, because everything is really complicated, you know, and there are different views on different topics.
Sure.
You have a song called Love is the Revolution. I'd like to hope that that's true, but sometimes I think that that's the last thing people think about these days. They just think about revolution without the love. And seriously. And, you know, I psychoanalyze stuff. I mean, I was talking to your...
And you know, you're spot on, man. You nailed it right on the head. Love is exactly what the term is coming from. Exactly for the references. The theme is exactly that. The world seems like it's under revolution from every division, politically, religious, gender. Yeah, it seems like everyone is at war with one another.
Yeah.
And the lyric to this was, when I first heard that sitar opening, when Alessandro Del Vecchio, by the way, happy birthday, Alessandro.
Yeah. Forgot to say that.
He sent me the original demo, and what you're hearing is almost 95% of exactly how the song was when he sent it. Yeah. I knew that song was going to be special. Immediately took me to the Beatles using the sitar, and a lot of the latter part of their career, a lot of the latter songs when they were in the whole peace, love, and harmony aspect of their writing.
Right.
And so it took me there immediately. I heard the sitar, it made me think of Peace, Love, Beatles. And I chose Love is the Revolution kind of as an extension from their All You Need Is Love
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah.
That, and it's so basically it's a nod to the Beatles for using the sitar in that positive way. But as soon as I heard it, I wanted to kind of add to that ideal as well.
Yeah. In fact, when that song was released, I did kind of a goofy video just so people would maybe take a listen to the song. I said, Soto releases this weird song. It's got this weird vibe to it. You got to go check it out. And people were like, whoa, man, what's up with that kind of like 60s thing going on there? I said, like I told you, it's you never know what you're going to get with Jeff Scott Soto. And then you've got another song on there that's got kind of this physical graffiti thing going on in it. That's what I heard, but everybody hears music is kind of subjective, but I thought that was kind of cool. I think it was The Last to Know. Is that the one with it kind of feels like a Zeppelin sort of theme, maybe?
I never hear it so much as that. I mean, for the most part on this record, on the first album I did with Alessandro, Wide Awake in My Dreamland, he was really picking and choosing sonically and sound wise and production wise. He was choosing what he loves about my career and kind of extending from that. So there were a lot of different walks of my career that he was saying, I love this part of Jeff's career, so I'm going to write a song within that context. And so Wide Awake was pretty much an array of the things he loves about my body of work already released thus far. But for Complicated, he wanted to actually concentrate more on the Talisman side of things. Now, Talisman was an important band for me. It was the longest standing band that I was in until we lost our departed bass player and founder, one of my best friends, Marcel Jacob, God rest his soul, back in 2009. And he said, bottom line is you dabble into influences in your current releases with who and whatever you're doing. But Talisman is the one thing that's really missing. So he wanted to hone in on that. And I got to be honest, if there's anybody can write a Talisman song without Marcel Jacob, it's Alessandro Del Vecchio. He knows how to dig into the Talisman ideal. There's even a song on the album called Home Again, or I'm sorry, is that the title? I don't even know the title.
Home Again. Track number 3 on the album, brother. Home Again.
And I titled that and wrote thematically. I wrote the lyrics based on an original song called Coming Home from Talisman. I've got so many coming homes in my life. I just realized how many coming homes are, and it's all like 4 different versions of that title. But the Talisman version of Coming Home sounded very similar to this song. So I said, I'm going to write the sequel to Coming Home. I'm home again. Coming Home is basically back and forth being on tour, and Home Again is basically I'm home to stay kind of thing. So those kind of things put me in that mind frame of I want to tie it into whatever the song is reminding me of. I tie it into things that already existed prior. And to kind of answer what you were saying about the actual title, Complicated, I call the album Complicated. It was based on, I was doing interviews last year for the Duets album that I released, another record I did with Dean. And the journalists asked me at the end, they said, last question, if I had to tell somebody who doesn't know anything about Jeff Scott Soto, your music, your voice, nothing about you, if I had to describe you to them, the kind of artist you are, what would be the best way, just from your own perspective? And
Complicated,
I said, it's a bit complicated because
it is.
I love so much music. I grew up with Sam Cooke and the Temptations and Jackie Wilson and Earth, Wind and Fire and the Bee Gees. And then I slowly got into Toto, Styx, Journey, and Van Halen, then went into the Dio and the Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, but I never lost all the jazz and R&B soul roots in between. And then being a massive student and fan of Queen and influenced by Queen so much, it's natural to want to be that kind of artist, to have many lanes as opposed to just put the blinders on and stay in one lane. So it's complicated to try to pinpoint or stereotype what kind of singer I am.
Yeah, and that's really good. I mean, that the way you explain that, I think it because each release, I mean, you're working with this other group called Wet. That's another project that you've been doing for quite some time, and those are guys from Work of Art and Eclipse, and then Jeff Scott Soto, and it's really like there's a lot of tension there because there's kind of like this hard rocking side, there's this AOR side, There's kind of almost like a torquey side to it where it's got kind of an R&B thing that's trying to happen within all of it. So it's really interesting. It's like a big melting pot of style, and it's classy too. It's I tend to be a fan, like Toto opened last night, and not a classier band on the planet, on this planet than Toto.
Yeah.
All right. Period. Just just full stop. Right.
I was floored when I saw them opening for Journey. I've seen them before. I've seen them with most of the original lineup, and clearly we know that it's basically only two left. It's Luke and Joseph up there. Yeah. But for those guys, the people they chose to represent and to kind of keep the flame a lit. Oh yeah. They are so tight. It sounds like a CD. It sounds like you're if you close your eyes, it just sounds like you're listening to a CD, like something perfectly mixed, perfectly recorded and produced. It's unbelievable. We could just do a whole video, you and I, we're the fans of music. Gushing,
You're the guy, but you're the guy who actually sings it. I get asked all the time, like, do you play anything? No, I just let these guys, I don't have that talent, but it's
there's nothing
great.
wrong with that. The thing is, your ears won't let you down because you're such a fan and lover. You're a musicologist. We're both kind of gush nerds in that sense. We're musicologists. We were the ones reading every word, every lyric, every detail, who produced what, where this was recorded, all that stuff on all the albums. And this is why people like us still exist in the world. We're like, hey, remember the days of
Well, I do that all the time.
Love that stuff.
I do it all the time.
We still do that today. Exactly. Yeah. We do that today, not because we have no lives. It's because we're interested in this kind of stuff.
Well, speak for yourself. I have no life. You might. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I have to. What's weird is you go on the internet, right, YouTube, wherever, and you see guys saying, this song came out in 1982, and I don't understand why this song wasn't a hit in 1982, and I'm just like, dude. There was this thing called rock radio. All right. It was a hit. There was another format. I mean, they're picking up Billboard top 40 books, and they're browsing through, and they go, hey, I'm going to be a musicologist today. I'm going to tell you what was big in 1982. And it could be this unbelievable, and you know what I'm talking about. The unbelievable song. You turn over to the rock stations, because that's when I hit like 17, 18, 19, I started listening. I still listen to the AC stations and the top 40 stations, but man, FM rock radio, album rock radio, that's where it was at, because the DJ had discretion. Right. And it was like glorious, it was joyful, and it was, hey, and you could just wrap your brain around like an 8-minute track by some band, and with the guitar solo. I mean, Neil Schon last night. I mean, these extended versions and stuff, it's like, I remember, the first time I ever played Green Grass and High Tides for Everybody Outlaws, and I felt like I was doing something wrong, because the track the track never ended, and the live version goes on for like 22 minutes, and I did it like at 2:00 in the morning. It's just great. And my boss calls me up, is this song ever going to end? And I go, I hope not.
I remember hearing Howard Stern say he would put like the live version of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida just so you could have a toilet break.
Oh yeah, classic. Well, yeah, classic bathroom song, right?
Exactly.
If you're doing, say you go to college at the same time, you get a little internship, you do some homework, you get some stuff done. So those are the good old days. But you're from that era, and people our age, we have this appreciation of all these amazing. When you mention a band like Toto or whoever, Journey, there's so many bands that we grew up listening to, and they're all different. You mentioned Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, Bill Champlin articulated something I think that I've never forgotten. He said, they're a force of nature. And I use that expression now because of that. And you can't put that. That's like, it's like a nuclear reaction happening. You got to just stand back. And I don't know if that's ever coming back, Jeff. It's good to see people trying. I know there's all kinds of there's revivals within this whole yacht rock genre. There's revivals within the AOR community. There are guys that are doing hard rock. Black Swan, which is on your label, just came out, and they're like on Billboard. They're like actually on there. So people are finding out, even though they're getting zero press from the mainstream places.
Well,
And I
bottom
know,
line, we all know it's a young man's game. The bottom line is it's up to the youth. It's up to the influence of the youth to carry the torch forward.
yeah,
And look at somebody like Bruno Mars. The majority of what he's doing is a throwback.
yeah,
He's
it
taking
is.
you back to the kind of 80s and sometimes 90s, and now it's even more 70s what he's doing
Yep,
with this Sotsana thing.
right.
And and then you go to on the rock end, of course, not the greatest representative, but Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
at least they are a throwback from the 70s Zeppelin thing, but
yeah,
we need bands, even what's the Struts,
yeah,
their singer, he's
yeah,
got that kind of Freddie Mercury throwback, Steven
right.
Tyler kind of that era. And us old guys, we're not going to revive anything. The bottom line is I do these records because I love them. I
Yeah,
love creating. I love having a creative outlet. Frontiers allows me to do these things, but it's not, like you said, it's not what it used to be. There's no over inflated $350,000 budgets for tour support and album budgets, and you can live off that while you're making the record, and you can quit your day job. All
yeah,
of that is gone.
yeah,
So us old guys, all we can do is celebrate what we already did and continue doing, whether we're creating new music and touring on that, or just going out there. In the case of like Journey's able to do, is just continue celebrating their past and their catalog. Yes, of course they have a new album coming out, but you've said it a million times.
yeah,
Radio, media, it's gonna be ignored. It's the bottom line. It's gonna be
yeah,
ignored because us old guys already had our day under the sun. But the
yeah,
true future and where we're gonna go, where we have to go, it's reliant on the youth. And
yeah,
it's if these young, I know so many young kids who love Journey and Def Leppard and Van Halen, and they're ready to be the next representation of this, their rendition of it. But
right.
because they're young, their counterparts, they're the people of their age group, they're going to jump onto it just because that sounds like my parents' music, but they're not my parents' age, so I can like this.
Right.
That's the whole mentality behind things. And to throw in a little payola wouldn't hurt. That's the one thing you were missing when you're talking about the old days.
Yeah.
Payola, you know very well
Oh,
that was a major
well,
contributor to a lot of these hits and bands.
well, it's even at the end, right? I got, I told everybody, I was about to move on, go to another radio station, and
Yeah.
the record label, Don from Polygram, calls me, says, "Hey, you're leaving. You're like really, you were great for me. You added so
Right.
many records and all this. How about we send you to see Bon Jovi? I think it was New Jersey, was out at the time. Backstage, great memories. I had Doug Flutie was sitting there eating a barbecue. I tell this story a lot in the videos because it's hysterical. Because I'm talking to John and Richie Sambora. I'm sitting there going, "Wow, this is pretty cool." I'm talking to these guys, and I'm just some schmuck from Cape Cod, and and John Bon Jovi leans in and he goes, "Is that Doug Flutie over there?" I'll go, "Yeah." "Is he going to come over and talk to us?"
That's great.
And and those are the things though, because then, you add a record, as you say, and you got like a stack of New Jersey CDs to give away that weekend. You know what I mean? So, hey, it's like you wash my hands and I do this. And, it was a cool, I'm just going to admit it. I'm just going to say it out loud. It was a cool time. It was a fun time. And yeah, there was a lot of sort of hanky panky stuff going on, but I think it was a lot more innocent than some of the things that
I was just going to use that word. I was going to say it was innocent in the sake of you had these independent record promoters. They were just doing their jobs, whatever they had to do their jobs and deliver results. They did. Yeah. And some of it was extreme. Some of it was like, it had to do with gifts that maybe were illegal or shouldn't have been exchanged. But the bottom line is they had a job to do. They did their jobs. And from that, we got great music out of it that we might have missed otherwise. Absolutely. And that's what's happening today. There's a lot of great music we're missing because there's no massive way of promoting it in the way that it used to be done. Nowadays, everything's all on social media. It's all apps. It's all air. Back in the day, we would share albums and cassettes and physical items and listening to music. Now it's just a click of a button and you're sharing everything. And there's no sense of
ownership,
like little minor explosions of bands popping up and popping out.
Yeah.
All of it now is you get lost in the wash, and you hope somewhere along the way you get to come up for air, and that's
Yeah.
basically what we're doing.
Well, Jeff, I've got this figured out, buddy. All we need to do is get you on TikTok a lot. That's it. Jeff, we could do the 1 minute TikTok Soto video. I mean, just it'd be a huge hit. You know what you could do, right? Jump on a skateboard, okay, and maybe drink some milk as you're skateboarding along. I think
that's right.
It's gonna be
milk
big.
Mustache and singing a Fleetwood Mac song. I don't know.
I don't, you know, and this is the old part of me is I don't get this. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool when it's in a movie or in a video game. I can kind of get my brain around that a little bit because it's going to be heard a lot. Sure. But the 1 minute clips and sort of this viral, you know, you just, like you say, we're in a different landscape, and I think we all have to kind of come to grips with it. I think if your talent is strong enough, and I think even you at your advanced age, right, you're putting out great material and you're plugging away each year. And I'm assuming too, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, you might be a little more popular overseas than you are here in the States. Is that correct?
Absolutely, 1000% correct. And it's one of the reasons why I rarely perform here in the US. The only things I'm doing most recently, besides TSO annually, is these gigs with Jason Bieler from Saigon Kick, is my friend. We met in 1988. We're still very good friends today. I got to watch him build his own success, and now he's stripping it down and stripping it back. He started doing these little kind of acoustic singer-songwriter roadshow things. Yeah. And he brought me out once to sing a couple songs, and then the next time he played LA, I did half the set with him, and the chemistry that we naturally have. He said, I think we should jump on this. And it's funny that you were talking about these 1 minute videos like on TikTok. What we're doing is kind of versions of that. We don't do full songs when we do our things. We do literally a verse, chorus, and kind of like a little teaser. We'll do like 40 of them in the course of the night. Yeah. But we don't do full songs, because you sit through an hour acoustic set, you're yawning, you're ready to go to the bathroom, ready to go home. Yeah. We do 2 hours sometimes, and people are still screaming for more because of how we're doing it, how we pace it. The majority of the show is comedy, where we have a natural witty banter, and it's clever banter. It's not it's not like one-liners, you know. We're not two Rodney Dangerfields just dueling Rodneys. I don't know. I
might like the dueling Rodneys. I don't know, but I'm sure you guys are funny.
Dude, we're gonna. I just got the confirmation that the Florida dates are gonna be the first weekend of October, so you got to come out.
All right, listen, you got to get within at least an hour of me. All right, I'm gonna send you a map.
I don't know how far you are.
Huh?
How far? Where? I don't even know how far you are from Tampa or.
I was 2 hours and 20 minutes last night. The show gets over. Yeah, the show got over at like 11:17, and mind you, we were parked in a really nice spot. And by the time I got out of the spot, it was about, I don't know, 11:38, 11:40. Got on the highway. They said, yes, you go down the Solomon Expressway, and then you'll pick up I-75 South. Right. All right. Didn't work out that way because I was in the express lane. Right. And then the highway ends, and I'm in Brandon, of all places. Not Let's Go Brandon, just Brandon. All right. Could be the same thing. Sorry. Had to do it. And then my wife's like, how the hell do we get out of this? And she had the GPS, thank God. And we eventually get back. Dude, it was, no lie. It was about 2 a.m. last night. So I'm running off about 3.5. I got an 8-year-old. He's got to get up for school. My wife says, I'm going in at 9. Instead of, because usually she goes in at 8 or something, and and she was wrecked, and she's like, "How are you awake?" I'm like, "I don't know, I have no idea." And I have to interview this guy Jeff Scott Soto this afternoon too, and he gets.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Well, for starters, it'll be a weekend, so hopefully that'll help. But secondly, give me some major cities nearer to you, and I'll try to book us there.
All right, I will. And I even have a place where you could go, because Tommy DiCarlo came down here and he played this place and sold it out. It's kind of a Western kind of place, but they have classic rock bands. They have all kinds of stuff. And you could probably break out a cowboy hat. I could see you doing that. I don't know.
Well, if we can make it to that, I'm telling you right now that this is the kind of show that is right up your alley. There's so much sarcasm, so much deep rooted wit, but it's cleverly done. And again, we are the two old guys from the Muppets as well. We just bag on everyone and everything, mostly
perfect.
each other. And this, especially when Jason goes into a tangent of, I'm going to play a new song. I was just backstage. You people are special. You look special. So I'm going to give you something I've never played in front of anybody. And he'll start playing like Love Will Keep Us Together from Captain and Tennille. And it's those little things that we break up the monotony of an acoustic set with.
Hey, don't make fun of that song. That was my first 45. I was 10 years old.
Hey, Neil Sedaka ain't no joke.
That synth riff it was too much. It was like the production value on that record compared to anything else that was out at the time was like, what do? They just all of a sudden they learn how to make a record,
Right.
My mid 70s. Anyway,
we're digressing.
We're way off the complicated
way
track.
off.
So I was going to just say, okay, if I'm the A&R guy and I'm promoting complicated, I would probably be releasing the song Disbelieving as the first single. But I'm not Serafino.
One. Huh? We saved that one for the day of the release. Look at you. Do you see? David, your stuff.
I did this
right now.
I did this for a living. I'm telling you.
You could be a record producer / manager because you have all the natural common sense insights of how to break, how to keep, how to retain or sustain. You have those three natural instincts about music. Yeah. You should this little dog and pony show that you do here is great, but I'm just kidding.
Like I said, I don't know if we were live when I said this, but I just hate going anywhere. I hate it was a disaster. I mean, I had to drive. I'm like, look, I drive. Dude, I'm local. I'm fine. But whatever. Like I said, we're gonna get you closer because I think you and I finally have to have the photo op and
absolutely
the Instagram moment, whatever it is.
The lockdown changed a lot for me in terms of wanting to go out and wanting to be out. Yeah. I really lost my incentive. I lost my incentive to be away from my home. When you think about my life, and I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. I started with Yngwie Malmsteen in 1984.
That's crazy.
When I was 18. I'll be 57 this year. Yeah. Out of that time, I've spent so much time pushing and kind of exactly that, pushing my career and being away from home, being away from my son when he was young, growing up, from my family, all that. And I'm not complaining about it. That's part of what you have to do. That's part for the course that comes with the territory. Right. You have to do it. You have to be ready to do it. Otherwise, you're not built for it. Right. But when I was forced to not be able to do it and I had to stay home, man, it was probably the best year for me in terms of creativity. I got to do so many projects and things that I normally wouldn't have the time for, or even the interest to do. Yeah. I met and collaborated with people that just came out of the woodworks, and I was saying yes to everything because, as you know, music is not just something we enjoy as background. This is our lives. This is our therapy. This is our emotion. It gets us. It makes us happy when we're sad. It makes us excited when we're down. There's so many things that come from music. So during that lockdown, even though I wasn't on the road, I used that therapy to just kind of fulfill everything I was missing, and the human touch, the contact, missing the people and all that. I was able to throw all of that into this massive pile of music. I could have said something else, but and a lot of that stuff is starting to surface now. It's like, oh my God, that's right. I did that then. I did that in 20. I did that in 2020. Yeah. It's all starting to come out in between all the stuff that's out, like Complicated and Wide Awake and the duets and the Wet album. I mean, that's a lot of stuff I did in the course of 2 years.
Yeah, I think you really hit my radar after I think it was Retribution came out. And then I started thinking, okay, why isn't this guy more popular again? And then, I had to do a lot of homework on you because you had so much of a history. And the funny thing is, I'm at college radio, and Yngwie Malmsteen was like, because I had this guy who did like a metal show, and it was like 84. And he was Yngwie. I mean, I had to learn how to say that name over. I had to practice. It's Yngwie, and that album. And then you've been working since that time forward through all the different things, thick and thin, different
Right.
styles, different genres. And, you know, I think one of the coolest gigs you have is the TSO. I'm just saying, because it's a yearly thing. And that's why bands do Christmas albums. They're really stupid not to, you know, because they get into the canon, you know, the Christmas canon every year. It's like, you know, so-and-so just put out a Christmas album and they hadn't had one before, you know, even if they kind of suck as an artist, at least they have, you know what I mean? So but seriously. And, you know, and here you are. And I'm always brainstorming, like, you're going to laugh at this. The other day, my good friend, John Bon Jovi, right, who I met, he's having a little trouble. He's having a little trouble out on the road. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And I put out this video, right, about who might be able, and it's you cannot replace somebody who the band is named after. It's the dumbest thing in the world, right? But I'm thinking, I know a guy who kind of sounds like him, who, you know, kind of sings really well these days. Just leave it there. Yeah. We won't go into details. The other day, when this crazy Van Halen thing started to happen, and our buddy Jason Newsted spilled the beans, I think that was supposed to be, hey, you don't say a thing, you know, you keep your mouth shut, you know, and otherwise we're going to have to, you know, and even Joe Satriani is like, you know, he wasn't, Joe's very mild mannered. He's like, you know, say that, you know, and I'm thinking Jeff Scott Soto. Yeah. I mean, just put Jeff can do the Sammy. Jeff can do the Dave. It's Jeff Scott Soto, Van Halen. I mean, I like Mitch Malloy too. He's pretty good. But Jeff can do the whole spectrum. And I thought of you and Queen, obviously, because it's a duh thing. And obviously you sang for this band I saw last night for 11 months, right? So has the thought ever occurred to you, if your phone rang and it was we'll say Alex Van Halen calls, says, hey, Jeff, Sammy, who he probably doesn't talk to, said that you're a really good singer. And he did say that on Eddie Trunk one time. And I thought that was cool that he even mentioned you, because I think you need more mentions. Guys like Eddie Trunk need to talk about these other singers, because, you know, I like LA Guns. They're a really good band, but please talk about some other bands. If the phone rang and they had something for you, would you consider it?
Before the sentence or the question was finished, I would say yes. And it's the same reaction as I gave Mike Portnoy with Sons of Apollo in the early stage, when he explained what they were doing. Originally, Sons of Apollo was from the ashes of another thing he had called PSMS. Yeah, but it's the same lineup, but with Tony McAlpine as opposed to Bumblefoot on guitar. Right. And Mike said, listen, you know, we've got this PSMS thing. We've done 2 albums, we've done 2 tours. We're going to make album number 3, and we want to have a singer, and we want you to be the guy. There was no audition. There was no, let's see if there's chemistry. Let's demo a few songs. It was like, the gig is yours. If you want it, let me know. And that, before he could finish the question, I said yes, because I have a dream of doing something with Portnoy, a dream of doing something with Billy and Derek. And then obviously when Bumblefoot was in the mix, it was a dream come true. Everybody, to this day, when people ask me what would be the perfect lineup, if I could, dead or alive, the perfect musicians, the perfect band, if you could put together, and I always say Billy Sheehan, Mike Portnoy, Bumblefoot, and Derek Sherinian. That's my dream team band. Yeah. And I had that dream come true. You know, we've got this great band called Sons of Apollo from that. Yeah. So before he could finish the question or the inquiry, I would say yes. I would do. How soon do I need to be there? I would probably be in my car driving before he finished the sentence. All right. So Van Halen, Queen, and Journey, and Styx, will put them in are my top 4 in terms of the end all be all. If I was stuck on a deserted island, all I need is any CD or album from those 4. I would even take Kilroy was here over something that everybody hailed as Styx's greatest achievement, just because those bands mean that much to me. I know every word to every one of those bands. I could jump in with no rehearsal tomorrow because of how much I love these bands. Wow, that's cool. And the Styx thing, I had no idea. I mean, I have this constant Styx thing. I'm starting to let go of it, but I just feel bad. I think those guys should have just one more time. I know. Just get out there. It is sad. I have my own, just like I listen to what you say about them. I've heard and seen a lot of your videos about the point counterpoints, and it does stink that they can't just put it to rest just for one last tour, one last hurrah, one last kind of, let's celebrate what we did. We don't have to stay together. We don't have to see each other or like each other, but just do it for the legacy of the band and for the fans. And that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
There should be a way to do it. I hope there will be a way to do it. I'm not holding my breath.
No,
but I love Tommy. I love Dennis. I love JY. I love the original back in the day. And I love what everybody's doing now. But the bottom line is, one more hurrah would be fantastic.
Yeah. Now, there is a little bit of a Styx connection with you because of August Zadra, who I was butchering his name for quite a long time.
Hey, I'm going to help you with another one, by the way, before we continue. Hold that thought.
Okay.
But there's not 4 syllables in Joelle. It's Johnny
Joelle.
Forget the G-O part.
It's not Joelle? Really?
No, it's Joelle. Joelle.
Dean should have corrected me then, man, because they were gonna call that duet album Geo Nova. That's what he told me.
Well, that makes more sense because that's the only way you can. Or they should just call it Genova.
Genova. That's
like
even
Chernobyl.
better. Chernobyl. We're so good. We melt down. We're nuclear.
It's the traditional Italian. Hey, Joelle. Hey,
Joelle. All right,
Joelle.
fine.
Yes.
Okay. Then I did an interview with him, right? And so why he just trying to be nice, I guess. So next time, because I'm supposed to talk to him next month, I'm gonna say, hey, you should tell me because I'm, Soto set me straight. So hey, I'm humble.
If I had a nickel for how many people call me Scott or DeSoto, I would be a rich man. I'm over it. I'm over trying to correct it. Look at my name. Where do you see DE in it? Come on.
Just Scott, call you late for dinner.
Scott, do you call David Lee Roth Lee? Come on.
No. All right. So now you completely blew out my train of thought. I was talking about August. He had a really good, I'm just calling him August, September. Yeah. No, kidding. Wow, he's gonna kill me. But he had this great album come out, and I butchered the album title. I called it Guiding Light. It's actually called Guiding Star. All right, see, it's aging. And you were pretty.
You had the soap opera in your head, the Guiding Light.
The
soap opera. See, this is again my nerd mentality of the encyclopedia of worthless information.
Well, with the Van Halen soap opera going on as the Van Halen turns, so I was thinking in that regards, right? And that's a video I did the other day. It's like, so who's gonna talk when they're not supposed to talk next? You'll have to find out, But you worked pretty hard on that, or I don't know if you worked hard, but you're on that album quite prominently. I thought that was a great record, man. I thought that was that's like AOR, again, the 80s rock stuff that everybody pretends didn't exist. Like you go through the book and you show them, you're like, hey, here's a band that did you ever hear the band Tangier, like late 80s?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, and everybody's like, who the hell is that? Like, who's never mind. Right. You have to be a music director working at a classic rock station.
Right.
But that was another project that you were a part of. I know you and August are pretty close from what you've told me. Yeah.
And again, that's Alessandro just doing what he does. And it really stinks. And I'll also go on record to say, I hate all the slack that he's getting out there. Oh, Alessandro again. Oh, he's on this, he's on that. Oh, everything's sounding the same. I think people they need to just sit back and stop pointing that finger at him, because he's one of the most talented producers, writers, musicians that I know. But on top of, you add what a humanitarian, what a great human being he is to that equation. He does not deserve 1 ounce, not even a smidge of slack, because he works really hard at what he does. You cannot blame the guy for not only being in demand, but even the label, even Frontiers is placing him in so many areas because of the trust that they have in him.
Yeah.
The trust of who he is and what he does for the artist. When he works with me, he doesn't give me songs that could work with a multitude of other bands or artists. He gives me songs that work for Jeff Scott Soto, and it remains within that lineage.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with the material for August. He wrote a bunch of great things, August, and he collaborated on things and with some other writers. I came and helped them finish some things. For the most part, I'm singing background vocal on the entire background vocals on the entire record. And I am all about pushing my friends forward. I've had whatever successes I've had is great for me,
Yeah.
but there's more success for me, and there's more reward for me when I can push my friends forward and put them in the limelight, in the spotlight.
You know what? You know what? You know how I know what he's saying is true? Because you were one of the first people to do an interview or to come on this, and we actually had a conversation. And I really appreciated that, because that kind of, I said to you, I think, I don't know, texting you, whatever, I said, someone's going to give me credibility. This is kind of cool, you know? And you just said, yeah, man, I like what you do. And you're just really down to earth, decent guy. And you're right about Alessandro. Now I'm going to plead guilty, though, to at the very beginning of doing all this and hearing all this. And I kind of believe the hype about that. And people, you obviously were doing the same thing when you see the comments on the threads of YouTube or whatever, where these videos get posted, and everybody said, oh, he just does the same production all the time. And when I heard I think the last Revolution Saints, or maybe even the one prior to that, I said, no, he's definitely not doing the same production. He seems to know, okay, this is a journey-ish project, so we're gonna push it in that direction. And then, like the Sunstorm record, this is kind of like a deep purple rainbowish kind of thing, and he finds a way to push in that direction. That I don't even know how to begin with that. Yeah, you had a certain kind of keyboard, Don Airy sound to it or something. But you still have to know, like, they're musically, you've got to be sharp and you've got to be smart to be a chameleon like that, and to do it for different artists. And it's, after a while I said, no, this guy, he's kind of like a little genius over there, because how much music is in his head? That's crazy.
and that's you bring up a really good point. There is a fine line between plagiarism and influence, because I could go into any artist or any record and basically rewrite that song or that vibe, and it'll sound like that song and that vibe by just changing a few chords around, maybe changing the key. Yeah, but you'll still hear, oh man, that's a little too close to the original. Right. Alessandro doesn't do that. No. You can hear the influence, but you don't hear it's not like a direct plagiarism, stealing from. It's more like borrowing from and extending from. And that's what he's doing with me, especially on Complicated. We are borrowing and extending from a Talisman kind of vibe, especially what's missing in my personal career right now, my solo career. And this is how he built these songs. Everything you're hearing on this new record, he wrote everything. He demoed it all. He did it all. I would get the song. It would sound like it's ready to go. I just have to put my vocals, mix it, and it's done. Yeah. That's how good he is at what he does. He doesn't send it. It's kind of, I'll send no wine before it's time. And wow. That's how Alessandro is. Yeah. I know I'm really aging myself here. Yeah. Well, and aging you, because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
What commercial? I don't remember that commercial. What are you talking about?
Orson Welles, was it?
Wow. Yeah. There's a lot of good, memorable ads from that time period. But
so going back, I mean, we keep going into different subcategories when we're talking, but going back to August, it was exactly that. He knew, he basically dug into what August is about, what he's doing with Dennis, what he wanted to do. August kind of gave him a few band names and a few kind of a little crock pot of ideas as far as artists concerned, and that's where Alessandro really excelled. He went to work. You hear a tinge of Triumph in there. You hear a little bit of, you hear some Styx, of course. I even hear some of Tommy Shaw's solo career stuff kind of thrown in the mix.
I think you're right.
It's amazing. And Alessandro, there's not one song on August's album that sounds like it would be on a JSS album, and vice versa. So that's where I defend him to the end. He's a hard worker, and all he's doing is trying to leave his mark and progress in his own seeds that he's planted. Yeah, and God bless him for it.
And one more time, happy birthday, right? Because you already did it. Yes. So, yeah. I guess he's 39 again. Lucky him.
Like us.
Yeah, like us. Right.
Every birthday I say, I'm celebrating my 37th birthday for the 21st time or something like that. My 17-year-old son says, Dad, you still look 37. I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. After a while, I'm like, just shut up. All right.
but thanks.
Yeah.
But still,
Wait till he's a teenager and let's see what he's saying to you.
Oh man. All right. So let's wrap this with the controversial part of the interview here. In recent weeks, the same stuff keeps coming up about when you left Journey, and I've narrowed it down to what I think is the crux of this. I did just a standalone video about it because that's what I do. And I said, I don't think Jeff is kind of concerned about the why of what happened. I think he really cares about like those relationships that you had. I mean, you were close with Neil. It seemed like you and John, everybody was kind of hitting it off. I know you and Dean have always been buddies over the years, so that didn't really matter. But I think, I hear a lot in the press after you do an interview, it's like, oh, Jeff Scott Soto controversy. And, you're clicking on it, you're like, no, this is kind of the same thing. And I don't think you're a publicity hound. I think you're the last guy you're out there on the road doing acoustic gigs. I mean, I don't know how that's we're going to go see the guy who's claiming, that he was unjustly, unceremoniously terminated. And now I think the big issue is for you is you had friends, you had friendships. And I think in one of your quotes, you said something like, hey, I want to leave planet Earth with everybody kind of being okay with who I am and understanding who I am. And I think, is that it, or is there something more to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly I want to leave this planet with no water under the bridge, but the bottom line is the overall key to this whole thing that drives me nuts is I'm being asked a question and I'm answering it. I'm not bringing Journey up for the sake of trying to get publicity. It's not a stunt. It's not, hey, remember I did this because you're not remembering that I'm doing this now. It has nothing to do. What does an interview comprise of? An interview comprises of questions and answers. If someone asks me about Yngwie or Journey or anything I'm doing in my life, I'm going to answer it. If that answer all of a sudden becomes a clickbait item, a standalone item that it's out of context, it makes it look like all I'm doing is complaining and crying over whatever. When I did that interview last year, and it's crazy, it was last year and it came out this year, that little blurb came out this year.
Again,
it was an answer to a question that was asked of me, how I felt about the whole situation. I still respectfully showed that I would love nothing more than to sit in the same room with the guys, to hug it out, to be friends, to not have any animosity, no walls, no divisions between us. And I feel the same way about Yngwie or anybody else I've worked with in the past. If there's any walls of divisions, I don't want to leave this planet with that being unresolved. I want everybody to coexist. It's kind of like the Ringo Starr thing, peace and love, peace and love. I'm all about that. And especially at this point in my life, I do not want to walk off this planet with any animosities with anybody. So that's all it was said. That's all it was generally targeted towards in my answer. It had nothing to do with crying over this and I want an answer over that. And then obviously the idea, the reminder of the lawsuit comes up. It's like the lawsuit was the last resort. The lawsuit was based on not getting anywhere. If you reach out to somebody, if you reach out to your ex-girlfriend or your ex-wife or ex-husband or anybody like that, and they're not replying to you, something inside or even people around you start building you up inside. This will get their attention. And that's where actions come from. They come from reactions, come from actions, actions come from reactions. The bottom line is I'm not talking about this just to talk about it. I'm answering a question. You bring it up, we're talking about it.
Right.
And I'm guarantee you, even this, what we're talking about is going to end up as clickbait material. And it stinks for an artist like me. I want to be candid. I want to be open. I want to be honest. I want to be an open book, but you can't say anything anymore without it becoming a headline somehow or somewhere. I don't know what's happened. I guess it's because of social media and everything's accessible right there instantly, compared to the old days where you say something and 3 months later it finally comes out. Or if you do an interview on a radio station, it's not necessarily logged or recorded. This is everybody's going to jump on this as soon as it comes out, and they're going to find a way to kind of flatten it, kind of make a negative output from it. Everything I'm saying and trying to do these days is all about positivity, peace, love, and harmony. Anything besides that is not on my agenda. So I'll just go on the record on that alone. I'm glad you brought it up, because I want even your format to be able to, if somebody wants to talk about this, let them know I am not doing this for publicity. We're talking about my record. We're talking about a lot of things. It's opinions, it's friends. We're having a conversation. I'm not trying to promote some narrative of feel sorry for me. Oh, those guys are assholes. This is screwed up. I'm not trying to get that out of anything I say and do ever.
Yeah. Well, it's 15 years ago, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's at this point, you know, we were talking about how it would be cool, you know, if Styx kind of got back together again, and it's not happening. And I get to the point, and I think it's because I'm getting older, where I look at just relationships in general and I say, you know, there's a lot of wasted time here. It's a lot of water under the bridge. Why not just say, look, you and I, we probably disagree about some stuff. I'm just being, you know, esoteric general here. But at the end of it all, we're brothers to a certain degree. We were in the trenches together, you know, 11 months. You bridged that band. You bridged that band from Steve Augeri to the amazing Arnel Pineda. And you were equally amazing in that role for 11 months. And in my
you'll get people, you know, begging to differ, of course.
Okay.
It's opinions. We all have them, and we're entitled to them.
Yes, and we know what else we all have. Sorry, I was just going to step right in there. I mean, maybe you and I could do a little shtick, you know, out on the road. I'm sure you've already got, you know, your gig with Jason out there, right? So the point being, though, is you get older and you start to see, just in general, relationships with your family, with other friends. You think to yourself, is this worth it? Is this worth holding this? You know, maybe this guy, you know, it's like Dennis DeYoung. Maybe he folded his socks the wrong way. Who the hell cares at this point? You know, it's 2022. You know, and so you think, okay, for the fans, right? And in this case, in your situation, I would just say, you know, you did something, I think, that had value to that situation in that moment, and you did it with class. And, you know, I'm pretty sure you were left a little stunned, because I think you and I have already talked about that. And maybe you wanted a little bit more of an explanation or some closure. I think you're past that now. I think where you're at, and from my standpoint, is you just want to be friends with people. You know, you're not trying to get back in the band. You're not like, oh, you know, Arnel's
no ulterior motive,
right. You just, and you've been very busy proving to everybody that, hey, you know, you even told me, I think at one time, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you might have gotten kind of bored, you know, being in Journey for,
I did say that.
And I can see you being bored, because you've got, like you said, your album is called Complicated for a reason. So
it wouldn't be bored per se. I would just feel like I'm missing the other sides of who I am and what I am and what I still feel I want to put out there. And you know what? You keep harping on the exact same feeling and exact same thing that's in my head. Everything worked out for the best for everybody. It worked out great for Arnel. I think he's done a stupendous job. He's a great singer and a great human being, which, again, that's another element of why people like him and why he's been accepted and why he's still there 15 years later. The band got a great singer and a great human being. The band was able to continue and move forward and continue their legacy. I got to move forward and do all the things that I've been able to do the past 15 years that I wouldn't have been able to do if I remained with the band. So everybody won from the situation. So I'm going to go on record to say how much fun I had watching them a few weeks ago. It was exciting. It was emotional. I sang along to a lot of the songs. I was excited to finally see Arnel do his thing live. I was excited to see Neil go up there and still be the king of guitar that he is, he's always been for me as a youngster. He's still that when you see him play these days. The band were firing on all cylinders. The mix, everything was great. I have no negative, not one negative to say about it. And from that, I was at peace with everything and anything that could have happened, should have happened. All of that it's absolutely gone for me. I was so happy to attend. I thank Dean for inviting me, because it would have been nice to be able to hug it out and see the guys afterwards, but unfortunately, because of the protocols or whatever, we were separated. We couldn't see them, and maybe it was too soon to even get to that. maybe that wouldn't have been part of the equation had times been normal. But the bottom line was I broke that kind of, that kind of chain of division by saying, yes, I want to go see the show. And by seeing the show, I really felt spiritually in myself that that piece is now all there. I can't find anything negative to say anymore about these guys. And I never did find anything negative. All I ever wanted was exactly like you said, the closure or a proper reason or explanation. I don't even care anymore. They're happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. And we leave it at that.
All right. And there you have it, folks. Jeff Scott Soto, brand new album coming out on May the 6th. That's called Complicated. If you haven't figured that out by now, courtesy of our friends over at Frontiers Music. Not only do I love the company, I also have the t-shirt. Okay. So I don't know if
I know they love you.
Yes.
You're such a champion for the label. They love you.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I wouldn't mind having a physical copy of this album at some point. Hint, hint. And
I'm gonna get one to you. I think my copies will arrive soon. I'm gonna bring one to you I'm actually gonna send it to you. Sorry to keep cutting you off, but I will remind you how your name actually is on the credits for every past, I guess, 3 or 4 records of mine.
No way. All right. So then so I need to brag. I need to brag about that. Why haven't I? See, this is what I'm missing when I'm downloading stuff, and
exactly.
And again, I want to thank, I'm not complaining here. I want to thank Frontiers because I get these links. This is how I know how good this album is. I had this link like a couple weeks ago.
Keep talking.
All right, I'll keep talking. All right, he just left the building here. All right, and this is an album by the band Treat, which I purchased, and it's spectacular. And you got to love vinyl. Okay, I know the Complicated is going to be out in this like crystal vinyl. Right. Oh, I mean that's, and I do have a turntable. I didn't used to, but I am so excited about vinyl.
Just so you know, that the drummer from Treat is actually the drummer for Talisman. So I'm very connected to. It's another Swedish connection that I'm very, very closely tied to. This is going to be almost impossible to see because the print on here it's so small.
Here, you want my glasses? You want these? Here, I'll give you my glasses.
So I'm going to try to do it this way, but I have to. I just have to.
Dude, this really is like 2 grumpy old men at this point. We can't read the print.
Look how small that is. The closest I put that, you can't read that. But at least from my phone, you can see.
Look at that, David's. That's me. That's me. So I'm on the credits. Wait, you know what? Wait, my kids are just gonna. They're gonna say, Dad, what did you pay the guy? What I mean.
Payola's coming back.
Payola, yes. I got 42 Complicated albums on the way to give away on the air. This hour, coming up this hour, the brand new Jeff Scott Soto album, whether you want it or not, you're gonna get it.
Man, what a great idea Prince had when he's the first one that got away with it, and then SoundScan said you cannot do that. Remember, he was including his latest album in the price of the ticket. You go see him, and it actually SoundScanned it as a top selling record because he was selling so many tickets live. They said, no, that's cheating. They're not cheating. Buying the record. He goes, well, they are buying the record because I included the price into the price of the ticket. Well, no, they're not physically going to the store and buying it. That's cheating. You're basically saying people are buying it whether they want it or not, just like you said.
That is so smart, though. That is like that.
Brilliant.
It is.
They shot it down, unfortunately. Otherwise, everybody would have done that.
All right. On that note, because of the lack of attention span overall for most human beings, we are not going to end.
We're terrible, man. We need about 4 hours just to get all this is garbage out of the way.
All right. We're going to, after we get through talking here, I'm going to try to book you locally. So I don't have to drive for 5 hours and get 3 hours of sleep. This is why I didn't go see you when you're you're in Miami or something. And that's another 2.5 hours. And my wife's
right.
We don't even go to the East Coast. What's the East Coast? I'm like, Alligator Alley, you got to swim through. But anyway, definitely. Well,
there's 2 things you need to come to. You need TSO and the Beeler Soto thing. Those are the 2 things I'm doing in the U.S. And at least you don't have to fly to South America or Europe to see me. It's literally in your state, dude.
All right. Okay. Pressure's on me. It's not on. Pressure's not on Soto. It's on me. So I will have to. This is.
And tell you what. And one thing I really want to do,
What?
if I was one of the first artists to be on your channel, on your show,
You were.
the next first I want out of this is when I'm in Florida and I'm near enough to you that I can make my way to your house. I want you to set a separate microphone and we do this in person on one camera together. That to me would be another first that you need on your channel.
All right. Honestly, if you once you get here, you'll understand the room. Okay. But it's possible.
You have time to fix this. You have time to think about this.
We're going to have to kind of remodel before you come in, I think. So it's okay. It's a small home improvement project. I think
a second chair and another microphone and we're set. I don't care. Put me in the garage. I don't care.
Maybe we'll do that. And maybe it'll all be paid for by Serafino. No, I'm just kidding.
You're
kidding. You're kidding. All right. I can't believe my name's on an album. This is very cool. And again, I want to thank Jeff Scott Soto for being a guest today. Don't forget. Hey, Jeff, do you have any websites that people need to go to?
Like my website is pretty much dormant right now. It's attached to all my social media stuff. So anything that I'm doing live on the fly is going onto my website anyways, which is jeffscottsoto.com. But the most up-to-date is clearly to follow my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter. And keep in mind, if it's Jeff Scott Soto with a blue badge, it's me. Without the blue badge, it's not me. You're getting secondhand information.
Yeah.
And if you want to come straight to the source, just see the blue badge with my name. And those are the best ways to kind of keep updated with everything I'm doing. All
right. Fantastic. So probably the best interview I've ever done. Definitely. So if you've watched it this far, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications on new videos. Check out Jeff's new music comes out on May the 6th.
Patreon. Support David on Patreon.
Patreon for $1 a month. You could do $1. You could do $2.
Give what you want, give what you can.
Jeff gives $100 every month. I'm just kidding. He doesn't need to.
No, we need to start giving $100 a month so we can make more room for me to come there and do this live.
True. I'm already in a room that was supposed to be a kid's room. So anyway, this is my studio. It's better than the
Dude, I love it. I think you've come wonders since the old videos where you were outdoors with the traffic driving by and
the ducks,
doing your videos outdoors.
I had ducks walking by and a couple of shots. It was excellent. It was when remember that I did this video where Journey was about to break up and I was yelling and screaming and I'm out there by the palm tree and everybody was like, "Hey man, you got to upgrade your situation." I'm like, all I got is this phone, So I've come a long
way, dude.
Yeah, all right, definitely. Man. Thanks for being here. God bless.
Thanks for having me.
All right.